Millionaires say motorhomes are ruining their views. A major UK motorhome manufacturer is leaving Britain with hundreds of jobs on the line. And rising fuel prices could bring the NC500 tourism boom to a halt. Sound dramatic? It is, and we're breaking it all down today. Welcome to Motorhome News. I'm Ads. Great to have you with me. For the latest motorhome, campervan and caravanning news, hit subscribe. And if you've got a story, send it my way. Emails in the description. This video is in association with Caravan Radio, streaming 24/7 with shows from Dan Trudgeon, Graham the Caravan Vlogger and Motorhome Matt. Listen now at caravanradio.co.uk or scan the code. A government petition calling for service stations to provide motorhome waste and water facilities has clocked up over 13,000 signatures before closing, comfortably clearing the 10,000 mark needed for an official response. Sadly, it's some way off the 100,000 required for a full parliamentary debate. The idea of service stations providing waste and water facilities could be very useful, and many other countries do this. However, the Department for Transport wasn't entirely convinced. In its response, it politely but firmly stated that disposing of black and grey waste is, and I quote, outside the core safety function of motorway service areas. It then goes on to say that the primary function of service stations is to support the safety and welfare of road users. Black and grey water disposal and fresh water facilities might be better placed at locations that are destinations in their own right for motorhome and campervan users, rather than on the strategic road network. There is a silver lining though. Officials say motorhome users will be invited to share their views when standards for service stations are next reviewed. Until then, the advice is simple. Plan ahead and know exactly where you're going to offload. A petition calling for Category B driving licence holders to be allowed behind the wheel of motorhomes up to 4,250 kilograms has closed after gathering more than 11,000 signatures. Campaigners argue the change would bring the UK in line with recent updates across the EU, where drivers can operate heavier petrol and diesel vehicles on a standard car licence. In its official response, the Department for Transport said it keeps driving licence rules under review, but has not yet assessed the potential benefits of extending Category B entitlements to heavier motorhomes. It also noted that even under EU rules, member states must introduce either a minimum of 7 hours training, a test, or both. The department highlighted that the UK licence rules were updated to allow zero-emission vehicles to be driven on a Category B licence, removing the need for additional training and permitting these vehicles to tow trailers. However, when it comes to motorhomes, the government says further consideration and likely a public consultation would be required before any changes are made. For now, aspiring motorhome drivers may need to stay patient or travel a little lighter, perhaps leaving behind that essential crate of wine and the inflatable hot tub. After an 18-month trial, a ban on overnight parking for motorhomes and campervans along parts of the North Yorkshire coast has now become permanent. The ban applies to North Bay in Scarborough and the A174 to the south of Sandsend Village between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. A similar trial in Caton Bay was abandoned after signs were vandalised and thrown off a cliff just after they'd been cemented in. North Yorkshire Council said it received more than 3,000 responses during the 18-month trial, with about 2/3 from motorhome owners. Most objected to the restrictions, but the council said many of those concerns weren't directly linked to why the measures were introduced. Among local residents, 60% said they supported or strongly supported the plans. The council also found some motorhomes had moved into residential areas of Scarborough as a result. Councillors will now consider similar restrictions in some neighbourhoods based on further data and talks with the locals. Residents in Bournemouth say their seafront views are being blocked by rows of parked motorhomes, campervans and caravans immediately outside their luxury flats that sell for over £1 million due to their stunning sea views. People living near the cliff top say as many as 20 leisure vehicles have been staying for long periods, with some believed to be used as full-time accommodation. Locals say the vehicles are spoiling views of the sea and raising concerns about waste, noise and congestion. A petition is now calling on Bournemouth Council to introduce stricter control to limit how long vehicles can stay in the area. Meanwhile, in London, leisure vehicles have also been causing controversy near the capital's so-called Billionaires Row, the exclusive street home to celebrities including Harry Styles and Jonathan Ross. Some residents have complained after campervans were spotted parked nearby, saying they looked at a place next to multi-million-pound mansions. So, if a big white box is blocking your £1 million sea view, perhaps it's time to do as the Romans do, get one yourself and change the view. Hundreds of jobs could be at risk in County Durham after a major caravan manufacturer announced plans to move production overseas. Eldis, based in County Durham and part of the Irwin-Heimer Group, says it's proposing to stop manufacturing in its Consett site. The company says the decision comes after caravan sales have halved since 2021, while in the same period sales of motorhomes and campervans have remained strong. Under the proposals, motorhome production would move to Germany and campervan manufacturing would move to Poland. The Consett site wouldn't close completely though. The company says a range of office-based roles would remain, including customer service, finance, IT, research and development, design, marketing, sales and after-sales support. Around 500 jobs could potentially be affected, although the final number won't be known until a consultation with the staff has finished. Eldis has been building caravans in Consett for over 60 years, so it's a big moment for the site. In the past, Eldis has had a bad reputation regarding their build quality. Maybe moving manufacturing to Europe could change all that. Let me know what you think in the doobly-doo. I wish the best of luck to the Eldis employees. I guess it doesn't really matter whether an Eldis motorhome or campervan will be made in Britain or Europe. They'll still be spending most of their time doing what campers do best, and that's sitting in traffic on the motorway on a bank holiday. Flipping motorhomes. Not a phrase you'd expect to hear on motorhome news, but it's popped up more than once in the headlines recently. First to Suffolk, where the driver of a very expensive McLaren 720S has been banned from the road for 6 months after crashing into a motorhome on the A12 near Lower Hatchiston. The driver lost control of the supercar before hitting the motorhome, leaving it on its side and closing the road while crews cleared up the scene. Thankfully, those involved escaped with only minor injuries. Meanwhile, in County Durham, another motorhome also ended up on its side after a collision with a BMW on the A179 near Hartlepool. Emergency services were called and the road was shut for a time while the incident was dealt with. And in Cornwall, police are appealing for witnesses after a serious crash near Truro involving a motorhome and a blue Kawasaki Ninja motorbike. The rider, a man in his 30s, was airlifted to hospital with serious injuries, and his passenger was also hurt. The driver of the motorhome was uninjured. Now, while these incidents are thankfully rare, they do serve as a gentle reminder that motorhomes are a little larger and a little heavier, and generally much happier when they're upright. So whether you're driving one, following one or overtaking one, a bit of extra space and patience goes a long way. After all, the only flipping most motorhome owners really want to be doing is cooking burgers on a barbecue once they've reached the campsite. Police were called at around 7:30 in the evening as severe storms swept through Helston in Cornwall, with winds in the area recorded up to 101 miles per hour. Officers responded to reports that a tree had fallen onto a caravan during the height of the storm. Crews returned the following day to carefully remove the tree and make the scene safe. Tragically, inside the caravan, they discovered the body of a 50-year-old man. He has since been named as James Southey, described by those who knew him as a kind family man who lived in his caravan. His next of kin have been informed and police have confirmed the death is not being treated as suspicious. The storm brought dramatic scenes across the country and emergency crews worked through challenging conditions to keep people safe. My thoughts remain with James Southey's family at this difficult time. If you got this far into the video, then thanks for watching. Why not drop a like and hype it if you're on mobile, and let me know your thoughts in the doobly-doo. Rising fuel costs are putting the brakes on one of Scotland's most famous road trips, the North Coast 500. Tourism businesses along the 500-mile Highland route say campervan holidays are now more than 25% more expensive as petrol and diesel prices continue to climb. Operators warn the rising costs are starting to hit bookings, with some fearing the popular route could be pushed to breaking point if the trend continues. Some are reporting more cautious bookings and early refund requests ahead of the peak summer season. The North Coast 500, often dubbed Scotland's answer to Route 66, has been a major draw for visitors since its launch in 2015, bringing a boost to local economies, but also increasing pressure on infrastructure. Now, with fuel prices particularly high, both tourists and local businesses are feeling the pinch. Since the NC 500 and Scotland are far away for most people in the UK, tourists will question whether they can afford the journey. The scenery might take your breath away, but so could the price at the pump. Just don't let the fuel bill be the most unforgettable part of the journey. If you don't want to miss the next exciting Motorhome news episode, then hit the subscribe button to get future updates. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.